Okay.
If it's okay, I'd like to briefly go back to program review. I don't know if everyone has their meeting materials yet, but I was able to use my own hotspot to get my meeting materials up. So one of the goals that the board approved was developing an ongoing process for program review. And in the materials at page 68, there's a memo setting forth the process that I recommend we follow in order to develop that. And the first step in the process is to determine the scope of program review. That is, what activities are we going to include and how will we prioritize them? And so in the memo, I set forth also what I recommend be the scope of program review. And just a reminder that the purpose of this priority is to develop, implement, and institutionalize a process that will enable the Board of Governors to understand and identify what programs the WSBA is reviewing, how effective the programs are at achieving the goals and mission, and whether or not anything needs to change. So just to quickly summarize, there's a lot in there about sort of how I got to my recommendation, but ultimately I'm recommending that we use the following criteria when we're determining which programs to include in program review. The first is that they are programs for which the Board of Governors has autonomous discretion over the budget and the ability to sunset. Number two is that they are programs for which the Board of Governors has clear authority to direct the goals and desired outcomes of the work. And number three is that the programs do not consist of a purely operational function or a function for which the Supreme Court retains authority for directing the goals or the outcomes of the work. I also noted that there are some functions which we are permitted to engage in under GR 12.2 that we don't currently engage in. And so it might also be interesting to look at those and evaluate whether we should be. And then in terms of prioritizing, I also have three criteria. The first would be programs that have a significant budget impact would be a priority. Number two, programs that are relevant to current organizational priorities and goals would be a priority. And third would be programs that have not yet been reviewed in the prior 5 years. So I just wanted to highlight that and see if people had any feedback, questions, concerns about that approach. All right, well, feel free to let me know later if you do. And I'm going to keep working on the next step in this process, which will be to,
Sarah,
oh, go ahead.
It would be useful, rather than talking in the abstract, to know which programs are included and which programs are not.
Okay, so I can give you an example. So the first activity that the executive leadership team and I did was try to capture all of the activities of the Bar Association, which maybe felt a little bit like busy work because there are a lot of activities. So, and ultimately we decided our recommendation was that this is going to be an intensive process and we want to make the most efficient time of everyone's time.
I'm just saying, let's look at the list.
I could bring in the list, but as an example, like our HR function would not come here.
It would not.
Purely operational. Also, Supreme Court boards would not come here because they're under the control of Supreme Court. Those are the primary examples.
Mm-hmm.
I could bring the list if people would like. I can share the list.
Well, if it exists, you can share it.
Okay.
I don't intend to make busy work, but
okay.
It would be.
Any other? All right, so next step will be to focus on how performance will be measured. And again, that'll come back here for your input and thoughts. Thank you. Yeah.
So we saw that we have new governors-elect. I haven't seen Governor-elect Whitney. Were they told that the protocol for a governor-elect is they're welcome?
Yes.
If they went, okay.
Yes, they were.
Perfect.
I can respond to her specifically. She knows about this meeting. She had a pre-planned vacation.
Oh, lucky.
Tell her to start canceling all vacations.